The world of budget custom keyboards wasn't always like this. We didn't have aluminum kits for $100 and we didn't have freakishly good sounding pre-assembled boards for $99. But that was when one keyboard changed it all. The Rainy75. This board changed the budget scene forever. It was the first of its kind, a board fully made from aluminum. It came pre-assembled, sounding perfect, packed with all the features you would ever need at the price of $99. And the company that made the Rainy75 is called Warpkey. It's been a year since they released Rainy75, but we haven't heard from them since. Until now. Boom. What? So today I have with me the Zen65 by Warpkey. Yes, Warpkey themselves has made a 65% pre-assembled board. I don't know about you, but I have some pretty high expectations of this board. Let's see what they have been cooking up for the past year. For me, when I first unboxed the Rainy75, the PVD mirror weight at the back was what gave me the wow factor. For $99, it was never seen before. So when I turned around and looked at the Zen65, it's pretty plain. But in terms of its shape, it's definitely a lot better. It's not just a plain rectangle. We have the overlap from our top housing and some small details towards the top of the board. But let's not judge the board based on how it looks. Let's see how it sounds completely stock. In terms of sound profile, I think they nailed it. They recreated what they did with the Rainy75. It sounds very nice and creamy and poppy right out of the box. And there's nothing much to complain. Moving on, I'm gonna take the boards apart, take a look at what's inside, and maybe build it according to my own preferences. So we have double shot PBT keycaps and their stock switches. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with them. The keycaps feel really nice in quality. The switches don't have any scratchy sound or feeling. And unless you're looking for a very specific sound profile, then I would recommend you just change out the switches. The keycaps themselves are fine and they complement the board really well. Now, for disassembly, we have two of my favorite features in custom keyboards. We have the ball catch system and a magnetic pogo pin for our daughter board. I remember very clearly one of my complaints on the Rainy75 was the quality of the screws used to hold the case together. I do think that the quality of these screws aren't the best. They are pretty bad. I had a really tough time on the Rainy75, but now that we have swapped over to the ball catch structure, we won't be seeing those complaints or problems anymore. Before we jump into any upgrades, let me take a moment to talk about the case. Firstly, the back of both boards look different. On the black version, the brass is there to create a contrast, but on the white version, it's going for that clean, minimal look. And to match the white version, we actually have a top cover with lining to help create a more classy and elegant look. And it also has one of the more recent popular features, I would say. The wireless receiver is found at the back under the badge of the board. So that answers the question. It has triple mode connection. Lastly, the bottom housing actually has a brass acoustic chamber, which is pretty impressive at this price, but I'll be testing that later on with lesser foam. We have a pretty standard PCB, 5-pin south-facing hot swap sockets with perky RGB, and it's paired with a FR4 plate. Our PCB is also QMK and VIA compatible. Now, onto mounting, we actually have three different options for us to choose from. We have the typical silicone gasket mount via out plates. Our second option is a PCB gasket mount using the silicone dumbbells, and we also have two different sizes of it. You can play around and see which you prefer. Lastly, we have a top mount, which I honestly wouldn't really recommend. On a ball catch structure board, I wouldn't recommend going for a top mount because it's going to be really hard for you to open up the case. Trust me, I've tried, not a fun time. So for different builds, I'll be trying out two different builds. The first one will be a different foam configuration and the second one will be a different switch. For the first build, I'll be removing most of the foam, only leaving the plate foam to see how it holds up. This will basically test how the acoustic chamber really performs with lesser foam. The second build I have will leave the foam as it is, but try out the board with HMX FJ400 switches. I think the general sound profile on the board is pretty balanced, so the switches that you use will play a huge part as to how you want your keyboard to sound. So we'll test that out, and here's how it sounds. The build with the FJ400s has that creamy poppy sound signature, which I think Rainy75 was really popular and well known for. As for the build with lesser foam, I wouldn't say it's clacky, it's definitely lighter sounding, but it has some sort of a clock to it. It's like a clocky sound. But the fact that the sound profile isn't hollow and it doesn't have any case ping shows that the acoustic chamber and how the case is mounted whatsoever with the PCB, it does a pretty good job handling a foamless build. For $89, it's pretty damn good. It's really hard to complain at this price point. So in terms of features, I would say they met most of the expectations that I have. I honestly only expected the bulkhead structure. The magnetic daughter board was something I did not expect, as well as the acoustic chamber. But those features are definitely very nice to see on budget boards, because these features tend to be found on boards that cost around $150 to $200. Now, in terms of its sound signature, I would say it's pretty similar to Rainy75. It has that creamy poppy sound. It's not that typical foamy talky sound profile that some of you like and some of you hate. This sounds a little more unique in its own way. Now, my one and only complaint that I can think of, that I just have to say something bad about the board, it would be the back of the board. I feel like the aesthetic of the board is somewhat, it could be better. You know, the back of the board, comparing it to the Rainy75, they could have done a little bit more. I'm not asking for a PVD mirror weight. What I'm asking for is maybe a different finish, maybe a little more contrast like the black board has. But, you know, I just want something with a different texture or maybe some sort of a different color to create that contrast. It really helps the aesthetic of the board feel a little more premium. Them having a brass acoustic chamber isn't easy to do at this price point, so I can see why they maybe didn't want to do a PVD mirror weight. But overall, it's still a pretty easy recommendation. It definitely did not disappoint my expectations. So if you're interested, I'll have a link down below. Comment your thoughts on the board down below, like this video if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.